What's a hobby someone can have that is an immediate red flag? Posting everything, every single thing on social media. Knew one dude from work that did this shit. Annoying as all hell. Unfriended when I was scrolling through and he had posted a selfish of him on the toilet and a caption that said poopin'. I have to disagree with you on this one. If someone I knew had posts as you describe, 100% keeping that guy as friends. Why? Just curious. Obviously if I saw that on my feed, I would chuckle a little and probably say audibly fucking Greg you silly bastard, like, and scroll on. My old roommate used to go out driving on rainy days specifically to splash pedestrians. That seems pretty red flaggy to me. That's really sad. My favorite hobby when I owned a truck was driving around during bad blizzards and pulling people's cars out of ditches. I like you more than OP's roommate. There was a post of a guy that was angry at his mother because her hobby was to find random people on the net, find everything about them and message them about it. My name is Betty. You don't know me. I'm a stranger on the internet. I know you work at Big Mike's Pizza 5 days per week. You have a dog named Muffin. You celebrated your 19th birthday last week. You don't have a girlfriend right now. You like porn. Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you but just wanted you to know. You live on Maple Street. Family vlogging. Family vlogging completely violate children's privacy. Using kids to shore up your own online presence is not okay. There are patents pimping their kids on OnlyFans, Patreon, etc. I watched 2 videos the other day exposing that PPL can buy exclusive picture sets of several 8 to 14 years old girls who are prominent on TikTok via parent-run accounts. They showed the metrics, and their viewers and buyers were like 75% males, between the ages of 23 to 47. Fucking insane. The pics were blurred in the expose, of course, but the pics were said to be sexy bikini pics of little tween and teen girls. Disgusting shit. If a person is so preoccupied with their social media that this person hasn't has time to actually live and communicate in the moment. It's fine if you can communicate about it and make arrangements. But I am not dating a person in a 3-way relationship with Zuckerberg. I would be totally fine with a person that has to have a heavy social media presence for work. But I would want to be able to set boundaries that work for both on us on it. Yeah. My sister-in-law talks about influencers as if they are her friends IRL. I can't have a conversation with her without her taking out her phone and showing me someone she followed before they got famous. It's exhausting and honestly awful to talk with her. Her husband, my brother, has suggested she see a counselor about it and believes she genuinely thinks in her head she knows these people. Edit guys, she's in her late 40s. Shrines to people LOL. When I first met my now late significant other, my son wanted to be sure he wasn't a killer and protect me. We were literally neighbors, so one day we walked to his house and my son said, "Let me see that you don't have pictures up of my mom with X's on them." He thought my son meant picture of his exes. Nope, my kid just wanted to be sure there was no shrine to me somewhere with my face crossed out by Sharpie markers. Edit wow, almost 7K upvotes. Thanks for making me feel internet famous today on my birthday and for the kind words about my family. Arguing with strangers on the internet, not like usual discussions or anything, just taunting people because you're bored. My mother does this, goes to FB pages specifically geared towards those who she dislikes, messages them a big long nasty gram, then blocks them before they can fight back. And yes, my mother is fucking exhausting. Spending tons of time on your phone looking people up just to talk shit or find dirt on them so you can re-justify your own self-worth/value. My ex-mother-in-law and her daughter would do this for hours every day. They'd block their victims and use burner profiles to keep an eye on them, make fun of them, and try to bring anyone in the room into the drama. I called them out on it and was the next target. Just freaking sad. What about those sexual anime figurines? I get liking anime, but when your room is full of jailbait anime girls in bathing suits or lewd poses, there's something not so chill going on there LOL. Shopping at conventions with the "I have to be able to shamelessly walk into my parents' house with it" rule is surprisingly challenging. If their identity is centered around Disney. Sorry. I said it. I have a cousin who engineered a massive split in the extended family by having her wedding at Disney World in Florida. She expected all the invitees to fly there from around the country and stay at the resort itself, and a bunch of family members opted out entirely because of how expensive it was. She ended up feuding even with the family members who went but stayed at cheaper places in the Orlando area. I was fortunate enough to be too distant a relation to get an invite in the first place. Doll collectors. I'm not gonna enter a house full of dolls. My grandma, born in 1929, an extremely poor child during the Depression, and a few of her sisters collected dolls. They did it because they never had any as a child and could finally afford them, and bonus points for the dolls having clothes and shoes and hairstyles they wish they had growing up. After working in the industry, I won't ever judge someone with a doll collection. A vast majority of those who collect dolls have PTSD, anxiety, Down syndrome, and other disabilities or illnesses. A lot of them suffered from miscarriages and are seeking baby dolls as a way to cope. A lot of elderly folks seek out comfort from dolls, especially those with dementia. My cousin who has a form of charge, I'm not exact here sorry, but he is nonverbal, manages sign and was not supposed to live past 1 year. He is now 30 years young and will not go anywhere without 1 to 3 of his maybe 12-15 plus Barbie collection. He understands he can't bring them all everywhere but he certainly notices if one ever gets mislaid or left behind X. I'm not sure if this counts as a hobby per se, but I can't stand people who get really into astrology. Like, won't date somebody because Leo and Aquarius signs conflict or whatever. Or judges a person based on their star sign. They're insinuating that there are only 12 different kinds of people/personalities based on when they were born within the year. It doesn't make sense. At least with crystals, they make for a nice decoration. This girl I like once talked about how she was going to this small seminar about who we really are, what we want to do in life, etc. It sounded really interesting and I was in a spot in my life where I wanted to figure that out as well, so when I said that she invited me to come along. Based on the description I expected some psychology type stuff. Inner thinking, realizations, etc. But that illusion was quickly gone when the day before I was asked to provide my birth date and time so the person leading the seminar could provide me with accurate information. I didn't really want to go anymore, but I eventually went along in the end anyway because it felt rude not to come. My friend signed me on last minute because I showed interest, so I didn't want to make her look bad. An hour and a half of nonsense. But TBF, it's not like I had to do anything that evening anyway. Not having a hobby at all is probably up there. Having a hobby or something productive/engaging to do in your spare time is pretty important to living a healthy life. If you've met a person with no hobbies, you'll know exactly what I mean. They tend to shit talk when they're bored, can't fully contribute to many types of conversations, and can be boring to talk to because they don't have a whole heck of a lot to talk about. I have a terrible habit of dropping hobbies I pick up, so I go through these motions a lot whenever I don't keep myself busy outside of work. Consuming media can be a great conversation starter, but it's harder to build deeper connections with other people if you don't have any passions of your own to share or relate to. It isn't necessarily a red flag, but it is notable when someone doesn't have a hobby. Edit, I figured I'd mention that I am indeed a boring person. I mention it because I live at LMAO. A select group of people round by me also have formed a Cats Watch group. They all own pet scanners, and as soon as anyone dares to say they've noticed a cat they've not seen before or sadly a deceased one, they're running round to scan it for a chip, and if a live cat, foster it until their owners can be found. Half the time it's just a poor unsuspecting kitty who's dared to roam past their driveway, as outdoor-going cats do, and is snatched up and scanned. They often find the owners live a few doors down. I have never seen so many grown women fight over who's going to go and scan the corpse of a ran-over cat. It's like they feed on the grief of sad pet owners. I mentioned this on the other comment, but it's worth saying again. In my experience, the vast majority of Third Reich collectors are miles from being Nazi sympathizers. They're history enthusiasts, history professionals, teachers, and they make huge contributions to the historical community. Both through research and by preserving the items. Museums don't have funds to take care of themselves. The entire point is to preserve history and teach people about the actual atrocities that occurred. It's the opposite of revisionist history. It's really important that we distinguish between neo-Nazi scum and the people who help preserve such important and sensitive history. Had a friend in middle school. We had an awesome time at his property, driving ATVs, shooting rifles, huge airsoft games, all a great fucking time. One day when I was over there alone with him after his parents left, he invited me to the shed. There was a live maimed raccoon chained up. I was afraid to leave, so I just kind of watched him torture it, fake laughing. I eventually said I was bored of it and did one other thing before fucking right off and dropping all contact. Dude was evil. Kinda sad to see how often taxidermy comes up on this thread. It's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but most of them don't seem like psychopaths. Now thrash streaming on the other hand. I think a lot of people make the unconscious assumption that collecting taxidermied animals, bones or preserved dead specimens/organs equals enjoying killing animals. Every single person I've met with this hobby or with a general interest in this sort of thing has been incredibly nice though. Usually eccentric, but great folks overall. Honestly, my main aversion was knowing someone who would taxidermy roadkill in college. In her bathtub. I went to help her roommate one time. I wasn't directly friends with this person, but they were in the same group as others I knew. Overlapping friend circles, the entire place was infested with fleas and roaches, and the smell permeated the apartment. They definitely lost their security deposit and would post really graphic pictures of decay and stuff anytime I saw them around on the internet. I don't really care if you want to actually clean some bones and have them, cool. But this person was not sanitary or safe. Melting a raccoon in acid on your porch to get the bones out doesn't win you points with the neighbors for a pretty good reason: the smell and the bugs. On the other hand, I did have a friend whose dad had a deer head on his wall with some sick antlers and stuff. That was fine. I didn't know what the college kid was trying to get up to.